Nice. Okay. Well, see, here's where children are sometimes smarter than adults. You came inside to talk to people in the air conditioning, and they have elected to stay in the Do you guys see all Buffalo Row? It's like a little rough now. No? Okay.
My family are probably.
Oh, wow.
I'm so sorry. Who is my text?
I went here.
You're intermittent. Where y'all might
I got a new book.
Well, that's
I was here last week. She was. Not that I'm keeping tabs.
Yeah, there we go.
Good morning. My name is Mo. I'm president of the fellowship this year. Come, whoever you are, whatever your age or gender identity, whatever your skin color, whatever your abilities, whomever you love. You are welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Statesboro. You are welcome in this, our religious home. I extend a warm welcome to any of our visitors and guests this morning. If you are feeling brave, we invite you now to take a moment to introduce yourself. If you haven't already, we hope that you will give us some contact information for our guest registry, which is by the front with Mary. But you can also find more information about us on our website at uustatesboro.org. Which also has recently undergone some cool updates, so if you haven't been there in a while, you might want to check it out, because we've been working on it. For the month of June, half of our operating that is not designated as a pledge will be shared with Borough Pride. Thank you for sharing your resources with us later in the service. Now I invite you to join with me in reciting our congregational affirmation, which is right here. Love
is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and help one another.
Our worship leader this morning is our wonderful Junior.
Let us worship together. We begin with the lighting of the chalice, symbol of our religious heritage. I'll light the chalice. Please join me in the chalice reading, and then rise as you're willing or able, and join me in singing Rise Up, O Flame twice through. And I'm about to explore technology. Praise Lord. Praise Lord. Hey, hey. When in doubt. This is a chalice of love and light, uniting us all by day and night.
Rise up, O flame, thy light glowing, show to us beauty. joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Now, while you're standing, honor the light within one another as we greet those around us. Our story for all ages. If you are young at heart, or just want to be able to see the pictures, I invite you to come on down. So, I might need help here. Hi. Alright, so next Sunday is Father's Day. Today we celebrate fathers and people who've been like fathers to us. But we felt they were so special that we're going to have 2 Sundays to celebrate fathers. So this story is called My Dad is a Unicorn. And the fun part is what Dad says. Most dads are weird. They tell bad jokes. What's the school's favorite number? Tree. Daddy. Or they cheer for teams you've never heard of. Let's go Denver doorbells! Yeah. Or they read tool catalogs for fun. Well, my dad is really weird because my dad is a unicorn. Being a unicorn for a dad sounds super fun, right? I mean, cookies, cakes, magical muffins. Well, it's not. My unicorn dad gets his necktie stuck around his horn. Little help, please. Practices his prancing at midnight. Kick, kick, jazz moves. And is obsessed with his new mane shampoo. Even worse, he leaves glitter everywhere. Like when the pipe broke. Little glitter might seal it. Or when the car won't start. I'll try some glitter in the tank. And when I needed help with my homework, math is easy. 2 + 2 equals glitter! Sometimes my dad has to go solve unicorn problems in magic lands. This is my dad. I'm needed in Candy Cane Canyon. My mission will be hard, scary, and dangerous. It is unlikely I will survive. Can I come with you? Sure! Be home by midnight. It's lasagna night. It was my first mission ever with my dad. Checklist. Magical fanny pack. Got it. Sparkle boots. Sparkling.
velvety mane of justice flowing in the wind. And glitter trails. Some mean goblins had come to Candy Cane Canyon. They were ruining the unicorn's favorite game. Cake balls, not a sport. That's enough, goblins. Feel the wrath of our glitter. Wham! Where am I? Crash! I can't see! Kersparkle! 3 cheers for Unicorn Dad and some kid. The week after, my dad brought me on an even scarier mission to Merry Muffin Meadows. Trolls were stealing the unicorn's giant lollipop. It's the perfect candy crime. Did someone order a glitter milkshake? 'Cause you trolls have messed with the wrong sparkle boot guys. Glitter kapow! Glitter kabang! Who was that silky crime fighter? Unicorn Dad, please accept this giant medal. Is this what you do every day? And one day, Dad and I went to Starry Cake Sugar Falls to solve the scariest problem ever. A fire-breathing dragon was eating all of the unicorn's marshmallows. There's only one solution here. Run! Can we just fly? Fly is better. Fly! Because you know what they say about dragons. You are crunchy and good intention. We got away just in time and headed home for our usual celebration. Lasagna. My dad really earned his sparkle bath that day. Okay, sometimes it is fun that my dad's a unicorn. We play hula hoop together. He lets me use his fancy name shampoo. And he always gets me to school on time. My dad's boring. My dad smells like a potato. And at night, Dad reads to me about unicorn adventures in terrifying places like Dazzle Fizzle Yumland. And the Unicorn Dad couldn't have done it without his trusty sidekick. Glitter Friends Forever, Dad, to the end of the rainbow and back. Stand up and let's do our children's affirmation. We are Unitarian, Universalist, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Now, if you are on the end, if you would help make our bridge for our children, I'm going to give us some music. Yes. As you heard, we thought that fathers, people who have been fathers to us, deserve 2 days to celebrate because they're that special. So as we meditate or reflect for a few moments, I want you to think on the person or people in your life who have been your father figures. service today is a celebration of fathers, and we have some of our members who are going to share with us about fathers, fatherhood, father figures. Our first speaker is our own John Martin. Please, Mark.
I'm just going to pass this around. All of our photos are still in storage, so I made a quick trip to Walgreens yesterday. Good morning, everyone. Morning. It's good to be with you. Next month will mark 45 years since my father, Tommy Martin, died. He was 46, I was 16. That I could no longer remember the sound of his voice is my starkest reminder of the eroding power of time. Over the decades, I mostly heard about Dad at funerals. Someone there would learn I was Tommy's boy. They'd come up to me after the service, and so would commence a Tommy Martin story of him in high school or church or at my grandfather's store. Stories about someone who was fun-loving, occasionally vulgar, a loyal friend, protective cousin, reliable colleague. Man, could he play that piano, they'd tell me. Heartfelt recollections from the storyteller. I never knew anyone else like him that concluded words to that effect. And I'd nod in agreement, wiping my eyes at their summation. Just words, but he was made alive again for that brief moment. People capable of sharing such reminiscences are mostly gone now. But what they would share, fondly remembered and delivered, was both comforting and painful to hear. Stories told of unburdened times in Dad's life before I was born, before the workplace accident that, as my mom succinctly put it, ruined him. One day, shortly before I was born, the men on the loading dock where my father worked needed help unloading a big piece of heavy equipment from a semi, and Dad joined them. The cargo was unwieldy and weighed nearly 1,000 pounds. There were 7 of them to move it. Load in hand, awkwardly coaxing it out of the rig, one man's finger smashed against the inside of the trailer. He yelled. Suddenly, everyone lost or dropped their share of the half-ton load, except Dad. My father broke no bones and spilled no blood that day, but his life would never be the same. 3 spinal surgeries failed to repair his injuries and only worsened his pain, leading to a dependence on narcotic pain relievers. At 40, he suffered 2 heart attacks and underwent open heart surgery. The next year, he suffered 3rd-degree burns over 30% of his body when a heater in our house flared and ignited his clothing. There's more to tell, but you get the picture. From Dad, I acquired my love of history and sports and reading and fishing, my sense of humor, and regrettably, my flashes of anger. I'm grateful for the time we had, but our time together was brief and frequently traumatic. Our relationship was loving, but a work in progress when it died, as it so often is between teenagers and parents. The term closure feels insufficient and sterile, as though one could close the door to a ransacked room of memories and inhabit some tidier inner space. The door constantly reopens. For better or worse, that ransacked room forged who I am. Most days, I recall being with him in the burn unit, or making the frantic final drive to the ER with the paramedics. Whatever humanity and empathy I possess is there because of the heavy price I watched my father pay each day we had together. It's there because of my mother's ceaseless devotion to him and to me. Our many wonderful times together coalesced with the bad times. My father bore up to an untenable situation as well as anyone could. The calamities that ravaged my father's life gave me a flesh and blood example of what Atticus Finch tried to convey to Scout. That you can't see things from another person's point of view until you climb into their skin and walk around in it. I only wish that those lessons hadn't come at such a painful cost for my father.
And next we come from Lillian Tonight.
morning. I'd like to talk about my dad, Don Angelo. He's passed away in 2020 when he was 85. And although I miss him, he lived a full life and I think a rich life. And if you all could say that about me when my time comes, that's pretty much all we can ask for. So he was born in 1934 in Charleston, West Virginia. And his mom was an Irish, English farm girl, and his dad was an Italian immigrant. So I always wondered what it was like growing up there in a town where I think they were one of the wealthier people in the town, but his dad was an immigrant also, which is a little different. He married my mom right after he finished college, and my oldest brother was born within that year. I still remember my dad's sense of wonder when he talked about visiting Florida. They came down on vacation in, I think, 58, and they left West Virginia in January, it was wet, it was cold, it was dirty because all the coal dust and gray, and they drove to Florida over the next couple of days. So he got there and he said it was like magic. It was sunny and bright and lovely. And so they went back after vacation, and within 6 months they had moved down with both sets of grandparents. So they all just left Charleston and came to Tampa. So, and he, even to the time of his death, he would always say, "It's the best weather in the country." My dad got a job at Pittsburgh Paints a few days after arriving in Tampa. He worked very hard his whole life. He stayed at that job his entire life. He could fix anything. He saved his money, but he took care of us really well. I think what stands out the most for me about him is his integrity and his love for his kids. My mom got a divorce from him when I was 12, and he went to court and fought for us, me and my 3 brothers, which at the time he didn't have a chance. In those days, fathers didn't have a chance, but he did fight for us, not because he was vengeful, but because he really wanted us. So he didn't get custody, but we still went to see him every other weekend, and he paid child support, and he remained a really active part in our lives as far as helping my mom out, and they talked regularly about our welfare. So I can really appreciate that about both of them. So, and the thing that stood out for me that I really never noticed growing up and noticed later on is he never said a single negative word about my mother. Never, all those years. And I don't even remember hearing him say a negative word about anybody. I mean, that just wasn't him. I don't know what he was thinking, but what he said to people out in the world was always positive or nothing. So he loved his kids. He'd do anything to help us, as long as it wasn't too expensive. He helped us get jobs. He helped us buy used cars. He paid for my college. He loved taking the kids and grandkids out to lunch once a month. He just adored that. And he would always give us a lot of advice. And that was his thing. Whether you wanted it or not, he would give you advice whenever you talked to him. So, like a lot of men of his generation, he wasn't really good at talking about feelings. He wasn't really good about talking about love. He couldn't talk about really anything personal. I remember vividly being in the front yard of somewhere I lived in my 20s, and we were repairing a garden hose. And he started talking about the male and female parts of the hose. And my jaw dropped because I was as close as he ever came to talking about sex. He was in his 70s the first time he told me he loved me. I mean, I always knew it, but as far as being able to say it. So this was after his heart transplant. He had a heart transplant at 69. He had congestive heart failure. And I never really, I tried to say I love you at other times, but he was like intensely uncomfortable. But it started so we would say goodbye, and I would pat him on the back and say, "I love you, Dad." And he would pat me on the back and say, "Oh, okay." But after after training him for several months, he got to the point where he could say, "I love you." That was pretty nice. After he had the transplant, my brothers would joke with him because they would tell him he wasn't, and this is terrible, but it was a joke. He would tell him he wasn't all man anymore. because he received a young woman's heart in the transplant. So we were grateful to have him. He lived for 17 years with that heart. And I don't know if having a woman's heart made him able to say I love you, or he just was relaxing in his old age. I really don't know. It was wonderful to have him. And so. My grandpa, there's a note here with the flowers. This is just, I want to take a moment to honor him. He raised me. He lived right next door. I was fortunate in that way. And I wish I had somebody like that now for my kids. So, Charles Stevens Coy Sr., born June 21st, 1921. And yes, his middle name was plural. Not because that was his parents' choice, but because apparently the nurse misspelled that on his birth certificate. Why anyone in any era would spell Stephen with an S, I'm still not sure. He would later find out at 91 that birth certificate didn't even exist. Do you know how hard it is to prove you were born without a birth certificate? I found out when I helped him file to have one made in order to renew his driver's license, which he no more than a year later lost privileges to drive because he thought it would be wise to use a stepladder in the back of his pickup truck parked on an incline to trim a bush taller than the house with a chainsaw on bloodsheets. So I asked him to hand me his keys. And then we checked him into the lawn, unfortunately. It was time. I wondered then how any of the greatest generation survived. That is over. But I guess that's how. So, tenacious, fearless, courageous, and as we'd all say, stubborn as a mule. It's almost ironic that the road to the farm in Jenkins County where he was born and later tended was named Old Gray Mule Road. He grew cotton and soybeans there on the corner of Old Gray Mule and Grapevine. And though I may no longer own a single acre of a place my soul called home, I still have the original deed that my great-grandmother scribbled on notebook paper from the 1800s. My heart's deepest regret is ever letting home go. There was no price high enough to fill my soul the way that land did. It was not the least of the many things that have been unjustly taken in this life. And with that comes profound gratitude for the fortitude to withstand that Papa blessed me with. He died 1 month to the day, November 28, 2014, that I had found out I was pregnant with my first child, and as they also found out I needed open heart surgery the same day. I lost that child on Valentine's Day the following year, and I survived a 12-hour surgery that afterward would almost kill me too. Sometimes I think the universe conspired to save him from having to walk through the years of hell that followed. He always hated to see me heartbroken. Although brave and fearless, he had a tender heart. After my grandmother passed in 1973, he never dated again. He kept her hairbrush and her jewelry box exactly as she left them for 41 years. To this day, in that same brush, there's hair of a woman I've never met sat on my altar, a beautiful table she herself made. I remember asking him why he never remarried, and he would say, well, my girl, I'm a one-woman man, and although in our day and time, that's an ideal that many of us can't align with, I find it gentle and kind, a type of love that I've resigned myself to never find regardless of ideals and days and times. And yet in loving me deeply, kindly, compassionately as he did, I have known the greatest of loves. Without that depth and gentleness from this sweet man, I'm afraid of what I may have become. As I have grown and moved through this world, I've found myself constantly confronted with loss and grief to the point there is very little left for losing, and only the dearest of things to lose. I hold fast to the boundlessness of that love, of his wisdom, of my fearlessness and my courage. For what would I be that would make him proud without my tender, tenacious heart? He saved everything he could to pay my way through college. He bought every car I ever owned, including Vanellope in the parking lot now, which I bought with what he left after his passing. He always wanted to take care of us long after he was gone, and kept that promise. I owe much of what I own to him, and especially he gets all the credit for anything healthy or emotionally intelligent that I inherited. I had no idea as a child that would be the only healthy familial relationship I'd ever have. The only unconditional love I'd ever receive, and with that, I'd like to believe that somewhere along the way, he gave me the map to unconditionally loving myself. The road has not been neat, the path has not always been clear, but I have carved a way through hell to stay to be here with you all today, and I owe so much of that fortitude and determination and tenacity to my pa.
Last but not least, we welcome Larry Smith.
I brought a few minutes. What I didn't bring was a picture because you have to tell me things. It just doesn't come to me naturally to bring a picture of my dad. I don't look anything like my dad. I look more like my mother's side of the family. My dad was just a typical Southern boy. Grew up in a huge family. I had actually multiple dads because he had 2 sisters and 5 brothers, and they were all parents whenever they were around. Plus, we lived next to my grandparents, so we had a full family all the time. He joined the Marines as soon as he could after high school because it was World War II, following his older brother who also joined the Marines. And after training, they sent him to a little place called Johnson Atoll, which is basically a landing strip in the Pacific Island. I'm not sure what his job was, but he eventually worked his way up to be a corporal. But somehow he found an old, abandoned, scrapped, broken down Jeep. And being the person that he was, he always liked to fiddle with mechanics. He fixed that thing up, got it running, and we got it running a little better. And eventually it was the best Jeep on the island. One day he got called up to the commander of the island, said, Corporal Smith, you're going to be escorting the admiral who's coming to our island. It turned out to be Admiral William Bull Halsey, the top gun in the whole North Pacific Fleet. So sure enough, he was there with his Jeep, escorting him everywhere he wanted to go on that little bitty island for 2 days. And they got to talking about, where'd you get the Jeep, son? He told him how to fixed it up. So as he was escorting him back to the Enterprise, which was parked there, he said, you stand over there. And he watched while a big crane came in, and they wrapped his Jeep up in nice ropes, and started lifting it to the boat. He said, what are you doing with my Jeep? He said, son, I believe that is a property of the U.S. government. It was bought for the purpose of winning this war, and being that I am head of the Pacific Fleet here, I need that vehicle in the continuation and winning of this war. So that's the last he saw of that. I remember a lot of fun things with my dad. He loved kids. One of the best things is every Sunday we would go for a drive. Where are we going? I don't know. We're just going to follow this road and see where it goes. We had wonderful, unusual adventures. One I remember, we went to some little town and dropped off at the river. There was no bridge, but there was a ferry. And it was somehow tied to a cable. And you pulled the ferry and the cars across the river to the other side. And it was dirt road on the other side, so we followed that dirt road. And eventually got back to Macon, Georgia. I don't know how in the world we got there and how we got back, but it was an adventure. Quite a number of our Sunday drives ended up at some kind of ice cream place. That was a tradition, apparently, because everybody I've ever spoken to, that's what they did. His younger brother, who was also a mechanic of sorts, took up stock car racing. Of course, Dad was his chief mechanic for quite a bit. And whenever they had a close race nearby, he would go and help out. Well, one of the races up in Middle Georgia, his younger brother was in the railroad, and he called and he says, I want to be a little late. Can you sign me in? So my dad pretended he was Al Smith, wrote his name on the book. Well, it was time to get the race going, and no Al showed up yet, so Dad drove the car, won the race. He told us about it, but we thought, well, that's just a good story. Years later, on Facebook, I happened to be one of these. Here's a Middle Georgia Raceway magazine. There was a picture there, and there was a stock car, and the driver in his face, and it said Al Smith. And I got to looking. That was my dad. Since he was into stock car racing, and by the way, my Uncle Al actually went to the Daytona and raced in 1962. He didn't finish, but he got the race in it. He said that was a big deal. But because of that, when we got a TV, we were always watching two of the races that was actually on TV every year. And it's become our tradition. The Daytona 500 every February, and I still watch it. And the Indy 500 on Memorial Day. And I was telling Sherry that that's my tradition. I've got it on tape. When we get home, we'll watch the Indy 500. And by the way, it was a great one this year. I got one more story. I had many more, but I'll share this one more. My cousins and I, there were 6 of us, all within about 3 years of each other, piled into the back of our old station wagon. We were going to go over to another uncle's house. So we're just fooling around in the back of the car, making all kinds of noise. My dad and Mom up in the front seat. We're waiting at a stoplight. This guy pulls up next to us, and he goes like this and looks in the back. And he looks at my dad, and he rolls down his money and says, "Yep, they're all mine." So, that's the kind of guy he was. He lived up to 82 years old. He worked until he was 80 as a truck driver, a professional truck driver. When they wouldn't let him go out on the road, he would teach other new drivers how to drive. And I remember he said one young kid came in there and he lowered the seat, and tilted it back, and adjusted the steering wheel. And Dad said, sit upright or we ain't going anywhere. He said, what you talking about? I drive like this all the time. He said, this is a truck. Well, I ain't doing it. He got out and walked away. He said, you're not driving this truck under my rules. So he was a stickler in his more than 50 years of driving. He never had a traffic accident. He taught me well. So far, I've never had a traffic accident either. And some of it's learning how to look for the road, and some of it's just pure luck by watching ahead and trying to stop before the idiot in front of me pulls something, or watching your rear view mirror. Somebody's going to do something behind you. Be prepared. So, thanks, Dad.
Thank everyone who shared today, their memories. And now, hold on. There we go. Now it is time for the offertory will now be given and received for grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. Half of the offerings not designated as pledges will go to Borough Pride. These gifts are gratefully received in appreciation of our shared hopes and values. And now it is time for our joys and concerns. If you have a special joy or concern you'd like to share, we invite you to come up, drop a stone in the water, or light a candle. If you would like to speak from where you are, I'll be glad to light a candle or drop a stone for you. Whatever we share is being broadcast on Facebook Live will remain in a recording on our Facebook page that others can access. If you have something you need to talk about with someone confidentially, we welcome you to speak to our pastoral associate, Sherry Ball, or Michael Williams. If they are after the service, if they're here, Michael's here. Or by telephone if they are not. Our other members are also here for you. We minister to one another. And let us share and listen with love.
I'll start. Okay, so my granddaughter, I have one. Other people have lots of them. I have one. Mike and I went up to Vermont to spend some time up there because, one, she turned 18 years old. Right? Okay, so that's one. And she graduated from high school and got 2 scholarships because in the fall, she is going to Georgia Southern. Yeah. And just one other little small thing, well, maybe 2 small things. We had a lovely trip to Montreal in between the 2 events, and we spent about, I would say, at least 8 days camping in the absolutely frigid weather of Vermont. It was in the 40s, so we survived, and we had a lovely trip, and it is really wonderful to be back with all of you.
The first thing that I want to share joy with is just the sense of community that I felt both within and without the walls of this church. Statesboro has been very nourishing and healing for my soul, and y'all are very much a part of that. I'm a little concerned about a job situation, but you know what? I've been told don't worry about it when I'm in meditation, so I'm not gonna worry about it, and I'm gonna be thankful that I don't have to worry about it. By the way, I have 4 kittens if anyone wants one. My kids Everybody needs an extra kitchen.
First of all, I want to thank our speakers this morning. Every one of you touched me with your stories. I laughed a little bit and I cried a little bit at all your tales of your growing up. I just thank you for sharing that gift with us. I wanted to share something really cool that happened to me this week. One was we returned to Georgia and I got to be warm again. But I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around this. But I was at a gas station and the guy behind the counter says, "I just want to thank you. I'm starting my new business because of you." And it took a minute to realize that he explained to me that he was a student at the school where I used to work, where I just retired from. And I had shown him that he had helped me fix Chromebooks, and he discovered that he had a knack for fixing things, and he really enjoyed that. And it was really nice to be called out that way, and it was like something completely unexpected. And I guess when you talk about things like as a parent, or you talk about your parents before, you never know what seeds you're planting, and I'm grateful to have been able to plant something that bore some fruit. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Greg. This is a joy and a concern. In May, I was formally elected to the board of our UU Mountain Retreat Center up in Staley Mountain, North Carolina. So you're going to see a lot more mountain stuff out here on the bulletin board and stuff like that, and me kind of urging you to get up there. And that's Women's Spirit. That if you've been up to that or heard about that, that's one of the main events up there. About 4.5 hours from here. So it's a concern because I don't know how well I'm going to do on the board.
We'll light one final candle in token of those joys and concerns that we all carry, but are not ready to see. I invite you now to invoke that spirit of life and love as we enter into a time of prayer and reflection. May we know that we as a community are connected in these joys and concerns. We may look to one another for support and affirmation. May we cherish this time we shared together this morning in communion with each other and with all that we hold sacred. Amen. Blessed be. Our closing hymn, The Spirit of Life. The words are on the wall. I'm going to try to give us music. 3 o'clock. Yes.
Come
money, but not
providing food, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Now, do we have announcements?
I actually have one, if I can come up, please. See if I can do this. Oh, well, that's interesting. Go back. Backspace? Yeah, that's what you sent me. Hold on. That's my mom. I know, right? Isn't she beautiful? There we go. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Boom. Okay, Mike and I want to invite everyone to come to our vow renewal, which we are going to have on the 28th, which is 2 weeks from today, here at 1 o'clock. And Sherry's going to officiate, and Mo's going to sing. That's just a few little teasers if you're and what we've asked is that folks either bring like a bouquet of flowers or some food to share, either one. And if you don't have either, you know, you can go pick wildflowers. But if you have nothing to bring other than your presents, that's a present. So please do come, and like I said, it'll be here, so the ceremony will be here in the sanctuary, and then we'll have the potluck. So that's going to be our monthly potluck, but it's going to happen after the ceremony. And in case you're wondering, that's our wedding photo, and this is recent. I hope you all
Just
come.
to clarify, they did have color film when we got married.
All right, that's enough foolishness. Now let me see if I can get you back to where we were. Well, no, see, State will do nothing other than that, but thank you. Okay.
Just click on the PowerPoint. There we go.
Yeah, I had to find it first. Okay, that was my announcement. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 27th, Trinity Episcopal and Borough Pride are partnering together to do a whole, like, I think last year they called it a Stonewall thing. They're not calling it that this year, but there's a 5 p.m. Pride Mass at Trinity. And then at 6:30 is food. And then 7:30, they're going to do a dance. So y'all should all go. That's a great question that I can find the answer to. Yes.
You know, follow up. I am on Bird Pride, and I will. If you have any questions, I can answer them in 24 hours. Because I'm on the board and I can do it. But it would be really wonderful if you guys would show up. We've been trying really hard to connect with the different churches here in Statesboro, and kind of incorporate them a little more into what we have going on. So this was a really big deal for us to
I just want, my daughter and I fostered a dog from Renegade Paws Rescue in Savannah.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Right now they have more than 200, that's 200 dogs. And they do something called mental pause, where you can just go to the shelter and take a dog for 2 or 3 weeks home. And these are good dogs. They socialize them, they're house trained, jump right in the back of the car with us, well behaved in the house, help me get my steps in the morning. I mean, just great, great dogs. And they give you everything, leashes, food, toys. So if you're on a budget and you want something to keep you company during the hot summer months, definitely they're on Facebook. They're active in Savannah Pride as well. They march the dogs in Savannah Pride. So it's a really cool place to go. They were super patient with me as we went through every single dog because I wanted to do that the right time. Yeah. Or you can ask me after, but they are on Facebook and their website is great.
What is it again?
Renegade Paws, like Paws
They are
Rescue.
amazing. We have a rescue from them.
You, he's my heart.
I have a small announcement based on that one. I work with Kindred Sanctuary up in Newington. We just did a transport for dogs, and when I got there, she has over 20 dogs. 40 cats, goats, chickens, everything. Sanctuary, they are in dire need of cleaning supplies, dog food, cat foods, and cat litter. If anybody would like to donate those things, I'll come to your house and pick it up. I make usually about weekly or bi-weekly trips up there with whatever we have. If you guys have any extra cleaning supplies, bleach, Fabuloso, mops, anything like that. Anything you can picture that a sanctuary would need for animals, they need desperately. So if you have any donations or want to make a financial donation you'd like me to take up there, please get with me, or you can message Rowan and Mom, they'll get with me as well. Because I'm really trying to help them out because they've got a lot of starving animals right now and they just keep on taking more. They're one of the only sanctuaries that has not closed their intake in a 50-mile radius. So they're trying to their best to stay afloat right now while accepting dogs, cats, and animals that they really can't afford to feed. So we're trying to help them out as best I can. Thank you.
Rise in the body and our spirit as we sing our benediction. This is number 347, out of the spirit. Thank you so much, and we are dismissed.